Hello everyone and welcome back to day 3 of the crypto trading course. My name is Alex Winkler and in this section we're going to be reviewing chart patterns. So to get started, something you're going to be hearing over and over again in crypto and trading in general, especially day trading or investing, is support and resistance levels. It's pretty easy to conceptualize. Basically, if there's enough people that believe a price will go, let's say $5, because in the past it's always bounced off of that, then that might be a good place to put in your limit order to buy the currency at that price. In those levels, the same can be reversed for said if there's a ceiling and the price doesn't get past 5 levels, that's a resistance level. So how do you know where these levels are? Basically, if something bounces off a level multiple times, that's one indicator. Those are usually called double bottoms, double tops, triple bottoms, and so on. And you usually want to be looking for that starting on a daily chart. We're actually going to get into that in a second. Another way you find these levels is they're typically all-time lows or all-time highs. So let's say we have a nice breakout from, I don't know, let's say the $5 level again. So there's a resistance level, and over time that price constantly just gets chipped away, and eventually there's no sellers left and the price runs through that level, right? So that level now becomes a kind of a new support level because everyone's impressed that it broke through it, and that high that it makes is going to be kind of a temporary kind of intraday ceiling, kind of a new resistance level. So what you'll see oftentimes is a price break out of a support level, then it goes back, bounces on a former resistance level, which is now a support, and then it will go and break out of that new level, or it'll go and try to break out, come back down, and maybe eventually break out later from that new level. So that's really all support and resistance is, and it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Enough people are looking at it, enough people kind of see it and acknowledge it, and it's one of the most simplest technical things. So almost everyone kind of acknowledges it, right? It's not some fancy Fibonacci or anything. It's pretty straightforward, and that is why it's so powerful. So how do you draw a support and resistance line? This is something that took me kind of a while to get used to, because for some time I guess the larger time frame ones work, but then the intraday ones was getting kind of messy. How do you know which bottom to draw it on or which top? I always have friends asking me, why did you draw it, on this bottom but not this bottom? And over time you kind of figure out what works for you. But the easiest thing to do is start on a larger time frame. So zoom all the way out to 1 day and pick the bottoms and then pick the tops. So now you kind of boxed your price in a little bit. You know what the range is. And then you can zoom in 4-hour chart. Eventually, when you're day trading, you'll have the 15-minute chart open on one screen and then like a minute chart on another screen. And then you could kind of make smaller and smaller support and resistance lines. So we kind of already reviewed this. How are support and resistance lines real? Well, even people that don't know how to trade often read articles that are, Bitcoin just flew past $10,000, or you have kind of these whole numbers that everyone could kind of grasp, or you have a price that fell off a cliff and then that was a monthly low or something like that. So it's kind of the one price that everyone sees that really sticks out, and that's why support and resistance levels are kind of there, because if you hit a low before, then everyone's wondering, oh, is it going to break this low, or vice versa. Let's see if there's anything I'm missing. Actually, I have so many videos about support and resistance levels, and I put one here. It's kind of a weird title, but feel free to check this out. Also, we're gonna have a bunch more examples below in some of the upcoming chart patterns. So let's just dive right into it. This has always been one of my favorite. Obviously, I mentioned it earlier, the breakout pattern. So you can tell I'm excited about it. This let's see. As I said earlier, this is one of those general breakouts from I meant to say a resistance line. But in this picture, let's zoom down here and I could just talk about it. So in this picture, you can kind of see that there is, this is a little stair stepper forming. Here you can kind of see that we had a little price run up, and then there's a little, this would be our former high, or maybe our intraday. So when you're zooming in on a 15-minute chart, this would be kind of a support level or resistance level everyone's looking at. And there's a little dip and then breaks out. So this would be a clear initial breakout, right? And then this is over a week. This is consolidation, but you're going to see this as your your next kind of high, right? This was the big run up. But you can kind of have all these along the way. This would also be one. This would also be one, right? And then each time it breaks out, these are breakouts from those levels. Here's a longer day consolidation, and then you have a breakout again. So that's kind of what it's all about. Just always having these former highs and breaking out. I wrote a bit more in the description here if you want to dig through it. I also have a little video that covers how to buy the breakout. Because it is one of my favorite plays and I have so many trades based on it, I made a video lesson specifically how I buy breakouts and what works for me, right? You can base your strategy on this and kind of tweak it based on, you know, your style and your personality, and kind of I guess over time you're gonna learn what works for you. As I said before, buying, or I believe I mentioned this before, but buying breakouts is one of those things I'm not really good at. So I usually average in. I buy these dips here or here, but the textbook way to buy a breakout would typically buy at a confirmation. So if you see it kind of rising over this level, then you buy here. If you see it, you know, going past this former high, then you buy here, and then you would probably sell in. This is pretty expensive, but you're always, you know, you're looking for a few percent. We're actually going to review in the last section of today what I look for an entry, and I'll also mention some of the price ranges there as well. Here's another chart pattern. So the breakdown, which is basically the same as a breakout, but in the other direction. I mentioned this chart pattern makes me really excited, and I think I know why. Yeah, so this is a 15-minute chart pattern, and it looks like, so you see that there is one there's one initial low right here, right? So that's when I drew this line. I'm not sure if I traded this, possibly. I'm not sure. I made this chart a few days ago, but this is purely for review, kind of just to give you an idea of what these support resistance lines are and breakdowns and breakouts. So here is the first low. So I drew a line here. Then it bounces off of this, and you can see that this was a failed breakout. So here it tries to break down, didn't work, and then just the price shoots up. Maybe a bunch of shorts covered, not really sure, but this is something you definitely see time and time again. So you have a nice initial kind of drop in price, then a failed breakout, and then the price shoots back up. Eventually, this is still in the bear market here. Not sure what month this is. Does it say? Oh yeah, May. So yeah, May. We're in the middle of the bear. Well, actually, the bear's not over yet, so who knows? So then you come down here. The price tested again. So how crazy is that? It already tested it 3 times, and the price does it again. It just bounces right off that level. This is where it gets fun. The 4th time it tests it, and 4th time is already kind of a lot. You typically 4 or 5 is already it's kind of getting there. But I love this. This is one of the cleanest chart patterns right here. So here it fails to break out, kind of, or fails to hold like here. But instead of a fake out, this was a real drop. Not a very strong one. It does bounce back up here, but now this former support line is a new resistance line. This is kind of what I'm talking about, that these support and resistance levels switch. So it didn't get past here, and that was a very bearish sign. And after it hits that, it just completely falls off a cliff. However, it wasn't that bad. After a while, consolidation, a nice little wedge pattern here forming, and then another breakout again. So there's breakdowns, breakouts, all in this chart pattern. It's crazy, and this is what we're trading. This is almost a perfectly nice chart. Probably if you zoom out a bit more, it gets a little choppy, but on this 15-minute, it's perfect for trading, for the type of trading that we do. Coming back to here, this is a breakdown bounce. This is the perfect kind of thing, especially if you're shorting. This would be a really nice time to add up to your short position. But I think in the picture above here, we had the same, right? So this is a breakout bounce. You break out from this kind of 390 level, and then it comes back to the 390 level, bounces off of it, and goes back up. This is one of my favorite entries right here. Buying on that former bounce level, or that former resistance that is now the support. The waterfall bounce, this one is really fun but really dangerous. You kind of see it over and over again, especially in a bear or bull market. Sometimes when something runs up really fast, it just, it can't keep going. There's no more buyers, and the second the price cracks somewhere, it's a very bearish sign. So here you can see that, wow, I have the RSI. This is actually, I had the RSI in a few pictures. I used to have it. I think it comes by default on your trading view. I don't have it anymore because I don't want you guys getting distracted. But as you can see here, we have a super nice run up, just consistently. Every 15 minutes is basically, a little bit higher, a few kind of setbacks, but overall a nice bull trend. Then you have the first massive crack. Right, this is kind of an indication that the bulls are done, and I think this you might originally think that this is the first this is the waterfall, and you might be right if you bought in here and maybe sold here, but this is a dangerous game to play. You want to really wait till this whole thing plays out before you get into this position, because if you get in here and you hold and you don't cut your losses, you are going to be in for a surprise. So this is a second bounce during the breakdown, and then this is really where it just fully tanks, right? And you do not want to be guessing when this is happening. You don't want to be like, okay, it's over, and then cut your losses down here. That's super depressing. And don't feel bad if you miss this original bounce. Don't even feel bad if you miss this whole run up. My favorite time to buy is actually on the first dip of a run up, right? Because then, one, I don't have to stare at my screen and wait for this whole nonsense to be over. I also don't make any mistakes of constantly dip buying. I just wait till the run is over, and then after the nice swing up, then this could be a really nice entry point. This arrow indicates a sell of where this is not I don't believe I traded, no, I didn't trade this, but I found it, and it was a really nice pattern I wanted to share with you guys. So this is a good entry right here, and another probably to sell. And this arrow would also be another entry. This is a pretty nice flag pattern, a nice bull flag pattern we call it. And so see where this former kind of support level is right here, or not necessarily support, but this kind of high, this intraday high. Once it breaks that back out and we have a nice perfect kind of flag back down, this would possibly be a good entry for a second breakout. Now, these are kind of riskier to trade. A lot of times, if you bought here, you'd be hoping out to sell somewhere in here. You'd want it to break past this kind of high of roughly 9,200. So it could get a little messy. So just remember these waterfall patterns. Typically, the first bounce is the best, and then sell into the second or third one if you want to really play it safe. So yeah, this is kind of what I said earlier. So how do you know when the waterfall pattern is over? And the thing is, you really never will know when it's over until it's over, and that's the best time to get in. You might miss the first run up, but it's definitely the safest, and it's way more consistent. You can also use different time frames. Sometimes that helps. So in a larger time frame, let's say maybe an hour time frame, you're just going to see one massive red candle, right? But if you zoom in a bit on, especially 5 minute, you'll see all the individual bounces on the way down, and then you'll see that probably a few candles that just completely lose it, and then ideally bounce up. So different time frames definitely help, and an increase in volume also helps. You can see that this thing was dipping. You had a huge volume spike here, but then kind of just keeps falling with no volume. That's a bad sign. It just kind of means people are losing interest, and it's just going out. People are slowly getting out. But then you have it's kind of hard to see, but you have a nice little volume spike here. Kind of means that there's a huge disagreement in price, and that maybe that's an indicator that the waterfall is coming to an end. So yeah, this is just talking about the time frame. So this might take a few hours, but then in 30 minutes is kind of the recovery time, which is really nice. Which means you don't have to spend all day watching this. Basically, every now and then you can check it, and when you see that recovery, then you can get active, because in under 30 minutes this whole entire trade will play out, and you can make a pretty quick entry and exit. This one actually was a bit longer. This is a 15-minute chart, so this is at least an hour you'd probably have to pay attention to this part. Here's another waterfall. You can kind of see again how it just see kind of a super slow way down, right? And the most dangerous thing is you see this in a little bounce, and you see this in a nice bounce, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna wait for the second one. Nope, didn't happen. And you're like, oh, this is it. I'm gonna maybe buy here, and it just gets really messy, right? You're always gonna be guessing where the bottom is. You don't want to be part of that, especially if if you're holding the whole time. Jesus, that would be terrifying. So you really want to make sure to buy when the price kind of recovered, right? So this is what I'm talking about. Here's a little red candle. This is also a 15-minute chart. Here's a nice little red candle right in here. So this would be a potential first entry, but a really good first entry is after this whole run up, and then there's a nice red candle. It actually even goes down to here. So you could be buying. It's a bit tough, but you'd have to zoom in to get a better entry. But just this general area is where I would start looking, right? You could even buy here on the second one. This is where it gets a bit riskier. I actually try to, buy here, and I'll usually be selling into this one already. Sometimes add my position, but it always depends. Every play is different. And then typically on the third one, I'll always be out. But this is a super nice waterfall chart. Honestly, you just gotta keep reviewing these charts one over another, and eventually it's just gonna click. The more charts you see, the better. Every chart's always going to be different, but it kind of helps to see these. You'll kind of notice they all have similar setups. You have this kind of slow down path, and then you have a massive capitulation where everyone just kind of gives up, and then you have this massive bounce back because there's no more sellers left, and then you have that big first dip. You can see the same thing here. Kind of slow way down, and then all of a sudden that huge drop, and then a nice spike up in that first dip, right? So the next one, the stair stepper pattern, also super cool. I love trading the stair stepper. So it's not as clean as maybe a perfect staircase, but you kind of get the gist. You have these are the really important things. So down here, you kind of see this green line. There's a little hit here on the support. If you zoomed in, it would be much nicer, but I guess we could do that, but I'll just leave it here. You could always go on your trading view and zoom in yourself. So it hits this little area at maybe, let's just say 0.30, comes back down. It looks like it tries to get close to it again. And then here it finally just runs through it, right? There was probably a nice little breakout, a little dip buy, and then you can kind of hold. So this is at one point our first super really nice move. And here I drew a resistance level on this high price line. What did I want to mention? These lines are very hard to see for some reason. I recently increased the contrast, but this is an older picture. Anyway, so we kind of have the first stair right here. We have super nice consolidation, and the way you know that this is a stair is because it's perfectly holding its highs. You have a few little dips here, but overall it's holding its highs really nicely. And you can see that this I would say maybe 0.7 level, no, this is 0.8, kind of becomes a little temporary support line, resistance level, where it kind of breaks out of here, but failed breakout, goes back down, and then this time when it breaks out, it really shoots up. 1, 2, 3, three opportunities to get in. Actually, I would say 2. This one would be a dire time to sell. But then again, consolidation, forming the second stair, and then again we have this level. Whew, gotta catch my breath, so much to say. This level where the price, formally peaked to the high, and then went back down, formed the consolidation, and then try to break out again. Didn't work. Came back down here, broke out finally. You even see this little red candle here where it touched the price again. Perfect. That would have been an amazing entry, right? Or this second spot would have been a great entry, and then the price just runs up. Now this whole entire run up is really insane, to be honest with you. You're not really gonna see this all the time. This was in the middle of the bull. This is Ripple. I think many people know that Ripple really just went ballistics in 2-3 months. It was pure chaos. This is actually one of my best positions. I think I made almost $20,000 in this play, but this was really good. I'll have to actually post a link to that trade review later. I don't even think I've done it yet. It was before this course, and it was kind of when I was doing everything, just for fun on the side. But would be a great lesson. Anyway, super clean chart. This is a little excessive at the end. You probably couldn't see it going, but what we also call this chart pattern at one point, if it goes this high, is a supernova. So basically, you have something that starts even 10, 20, 30 cents, and then just goes up to multiple dollars, right? This thing just, if you zoomed out to a larger time frame, you basically see like nothing, and then just boom, just something that shoots up like a rocket ship. So crazy chart pattern. Let's check the next one out. One second, guys. I'm trying to make this as fast as possible, right? There's so many charts to review, and it's good, but I don't want to take too long, so I'll just keep going. Here again, we have a little consolidation here. This could also be a flag, a very bear flag, so pretty dangerous area. I probably would not have traded this one, but this definitely would have became on my screener on whatever day this was. This green candle would have definitely put this on the radar. So once that's on your radar, this is a bit choppy of a chart right here, but potential entries leading up to this area, this nice, this is Bitcoin. Okay, so potential entries, when you see this kind of double top right here hitting this resistance level, and it breaks back down, this could be a good entry. This first breakout could be a good entry, right? Because you kind of see this little stair forming, and then this last one's actually the cleanest. You have a perfect high, consolidation, breakout from that high. That's what we're looking for. And right, so these chart patterns happen over and over again. They're all a little bit different, but the concepts are always the same. Cool. That's, I think, enough for now for the patterns. The next section, we're going to be learning when to enter and exit a trade, not necessarily based on chart patterns, but based on a few other things. So yeah, stay tuned for that. That will be the last part of day 3. And anything I forget, I will be mentioning there. Till then, guys, ciao, ciao.